in our last film, we were cut off after 14 minutes, so we're going to kind of revisit what we were previously talking about and then kind of wrap up what it means to us to be a socially just practitioner, as well as what it looks like to put some of our theories that we've learned in class into practice to fulfill social change and social justice. So Ray, do you want to kind of wrap up or kind of
so where we left off, or we're cut off at, I was speaking about being a black clinician or a black practitioner working with possibly working with an older Caucasian individual, and how it could be a little intimidating or uneasy or uncomfortable for myself, as well as the client. You know, how they may view me, or, you know, questions they may have pertaining to my abilities to help them, being able to relate to them, if I can in fact relate to them, and what that looks like. You know, so there is always a chance that there are some barriers that will be in place to prevent or hinder you from rendering services to a client. But as we were talking about, these are things that we have to make sure that we're competent in those areas, that we are making sure that we are educated, and it's okay that we are educated and have the ability to be able to render services to these clients, regardless of if we look the same, or if we come from the same background, or if our beliefs or cultures are the same. So it's these are still things that we have to work towards constantly.
And work through. I feel very similar in that way, just having that humility and knowing that I'm never really going to fully know, and I'm always going to be inquiring, and I'm always going to be doing my best to learn and to be able to serve as best as I can, doing the research necessary to and reaching out to people as well, saying, hey, you know, I don't know, and you know, finding a mentor or something would be really good too, I think, and trying to work through, you know, feeling like, okay, I'm not sure what the right thing to do here is, or I'm not sure if I am the right person.
Or just addressing it.
Yeah.
So it just actually just addressing that. So acknowledging that I may not know exactly what it is that you're experiencing, or I may not know exactly where you come from or what your background is, but just to have a conversation. You know, it may be okay to go into that session and have just a heart-to-heart conversation and ask. You know, it could be as simple as asking, what is it that I can do to help you? Where can I help you best? How does that look for you? Because I have the training, you know, I am a master social worker, so I have the ability to help, but what does that look like for you? Right. You know, asking the client, what does that look like for you?
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, because you want to incorporate them in the process as well. So it's all about that empowerment. You have to allow them to help themselves. So our jobs here, you know, you hear a lot that you don't want to work harder than your client is working. So you want to make sure that you're incorporating them in the plan.
Involving them in the process. Yeah. Involving them in the conversation, in the dialogue, knowing they know what's going on every step of the way. They know where you're at. There's no hidden agenda. You know, trusting in our clients that to know what's best for them, what they need, and being there for them to help figure that out, help with the process, support them, provide, you know, the resources necessary, and I think just stepping into like the praxis part, the theory into practice.
Yeah. What does that look like? What does that look like to what is that vision? The vision of social change when it comes to the practice that we would become involved in. What does that look like? You know, what does that mean to you, and what does that mean to me? it's about taking on the stance of dignity and worth of the client, meeting them where they are. You have to have that egalitarian and humanitarian approach to be able to really dive in and work at putting policies in place, advocating, pushing for changes in society, so that everything is equal for everyone. We want to work at equality for all. There's so much inequality in the world, and it's not something that's going to change overnight. We know that. It's not something that we can change with the snap of a finger. It's going to be a process, and it's going to start at the bottom and working our way up. Start at the bottom, working on things. We talked about focusing on the positives. When we kind of engaged with emergent strategies, and one of the things that was said that what you water will grow, pretty much. And if you water in negativity, that's what you're going to grow. Well, we're going to focus on watering positivity. We're going to focus on watering equality. We're going to focus on watering
social justice. Yeah.
And that's what we're going to grow. We want to grow a socially just world. So it starts off as a socially just community, and it'll build from there. So that's our focus, to work at building a more socially just environment for everybody. Starting with policies, practices
within our own organizations.
Within the organizations
where do we work?
That's right.
Where do we work? We got to start there and see if what our work is doing, where we work, does it align with our values as social workers? Does it align with social justice? Does it align with creating a space for our clients to really be able to overcome obstacles and oppression? Are we really dismantling the oppressive systems that our society has been built on?
Right, or the marginalization of people, certain groups of people, certain populations of people. It's what our society has been built on this for years, and it seems that there's always a way that they choose to continue to oppress those that are oppressed. And we want to change that. So we need to figure out
on many different levels. There's many different levels that we've learned. We learned about the four levels of oppression in one of our courses, but talking about structural levels of oppression.
Individual,
interpersonal, things that we've internalized over time. I mean, we've internalized a lot of the messages that society has told us over time, and really being aware of our thought process and how much what is ours and what is really our language, you know what I mean, the language that we use. Are we using passive language? Are we using active language? As women, a lot of the time, it was brought to my attention that a lot of my language is very passive, and I want to say he's a mentor to me, but he kind of encouraged me and said, Chelsea, I see that you actively are looking for opportunities, and you're a very active participant in your life, so I don't know why you're saying that you were waiting for a sign or you were waiting for something to happen, because you were actually switching your language, and that unconscious bias that I had in my mind, that internalization of that I'm a passive agent in my life, and saying I was actively looking for a sign. I was looking for the right opportunity to be able to seek out this goal, or this whatever I was looking to achieve, or whatever I was looking to grow on at that time. So just those subtle ways, even structural, interpersonal.
So attacking it at each level. So we got to look at it in the individual level, a structural level, institutional level. So that all the levels in which we can focus on making changes, and I guess we have to do it maybe one at a time. and move from one to the other
Mm-hmm.
until we accomplish the goal of enforcing social justice.
And I don't know if it is, I think it's something that we have to really sit with and say, this is a process, and this is something that we have to really realize that we'll be working for this for the rest of our lives. Like, this is something that
it's an ongoing thing.
It's an ongoing thing.
It will be an ongoing process. It's not something that we would have to stop. It would be a ongoing process. It would be embedded in our practice that we're constantly striving towards a socially just world. And it's going to be day to day. It's going to be day to day. So our vision is to push by using humility. Looking at clients and accepting them for who they are.
And their self-determination, their ability to make their own choices.
Yes, and
know what's best for them.
Exactly, and working with them through that. In the process of that. Speaking out through dialogue. Speaking with others through dialogue. Having conversations about in ways that we can change policies and push for social justice. Coming in contact with macro social workers and policymakers and politicians and even just community individuals from the community to help see how we can implement social justice in every aspect of our social work.
How do we use our skills to implement social justice and empower grassroots change?
Yes.
And I think that, I said this in the previous video, but I think that you and I both really relate in that we love people. We love interacting with people. We love networking. And so it's using that as like, okay, maybe I don't have the capacity to understand exactly how we're going to work towards change on this level to be able to uplift whatever oppression that our clients might be facing. But we may know somebody that can help get you to where you want to be. You know what I mean? Networking and knowing that we don't know everything, and but we will find a way to support you in this endeavor and see it through with you.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
So not only do we challenge ourselves
with our clients,
not only do we challenge ourselves to strive to be socially just social work practitioners, we challenge our colleagues, our soon-to-be colleagues, to strive to be socially just social work practitioners, and we challenge others out there in the world to strive to be socially just. Find where your niche is, where you may fit in, and what it is. Ask yourself what it is that you can do to help contribute to making this world more socially just, because that's what we need. It's time for us to make some changes. It's time for us to push for change and make this world better than what it is and has been for everybody that's involved, not just for a certain demographic of people. Yeah, you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So
to wrap that up, I think that again, it's a process, and we'll be working towards it every single day. And we realize that we need to participate in critical reflection and humility and striving towards competence in our field and striving towards social justice and really working towards social change and grassroots change, and knowing that the most sustainable change comes from
the inside, within our agencies, within our communities, within our states, our cities and our states, within our government. So yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for sitting with us.
We hope that we are able to continue this journey, and maybe we'll have a dialogue again in the future and be able to talk about